Hey boys and girls, welcome to my recap of season 4, episode 3 of Power. This episode starts off with a bang. Julio, Dre, and Lakeisha are getting dragged in by the FBI. They want to know what these three know about their business dealings of Ghost. Julio and Dre ace the interviews. They're real. He's an upstanding businessman. I have no idea of these nefarious things that you speak of. Keisha, ma'am, what part of call a lawyer and shut the hell up do you not understand? Keisha is interviewed by Angela. Ma'am, all you had to do was say, I don't know, I have no knowledge, nothing. Really what she's giving Angela is information about the exact nature of Tasha and Ghost's marriage. Part of me thinks Keisha low-key be setting Tasha up. Keisha's not new to the game. She had dealt with a guy who was in jail. So like, you know not to say anything, but there she is just yapping off at the mouth. Proctor and the new lawyer, Terry Silver, tell Tasha and Keisha that Angela's probably going to try to break marital privilege and have Tasha testify against Ghost. And if Tasha doesn't testify, then she could be prosecuted as well as being Ghost's partner, and then the kids end up in jeopardy. Tasha finally has an aha moment. Oh crap, like, I think Angela's coming for me. Like, yeah, Angela, y'all know I don't like this chick. I think she's a horrible person. It's the day of Greg's funeral, and she drags herself to the church. She hides out in the back, full of shame, which she should have. And then after everyone leaves, she goes up to the casket. Your version of events is that Ghost killed this man over you. You also know that you were only having sex with him to get information about the mole at the FBI, and that you dragged this poor man into this whole scenario for no reason, and that you are pretty much responsible for his death, just like Ghost is. You have the nerve to go to his funeral. Like, it's Angela, so I really don't expect common sense, basic decency, morality, just any of those things. But I'll give Greg's friend Bailey some credit, because you know how like once an episode I want someone to read Angela for filth? This time it came from Bailey. He was like, just so you know, I blame you for Greg's death. You never should have left Greg and gone to have sex with Ghost. This is on you. Thank you, Bailey, for this week's read of Angela. Kudos to you, sir. Very, very much appreciated. Later at the office, she's talking with John Mock, her boss. Just as we suspected, they are trying to break spousal privilege. Angela is sitting at the office, all concerned about the kids now. Oh my gosh, something bad is going to happen to the kids? You are a lawyer. Ma'am, what did you expect when you accused this man, your boyfriend, of killing a federal agent? You seem to have no forethought whatsoever. Nonetheless, she's all concerned about the kids. And John Mock, because he was my newest favorite asshole on this show until Terry Silver showed up, John is like, this is a list of things that are not my problem. Put a check next to it and call it a day. He's like, this is on Ghost. I didn't tell him to kill the FBI agent. Next, with this new knowledge, Angela pops up at the prison to see Ghost. She wants to speak to him privately. Ma'am, you have wrongfully accused this man of killing an FBI agent. In what world would he speak to you without his lawyers present? She tells him that she's going to make a deal. She wants Ghost to give up Tommy, and in exchange, she'll keep him from getting the needle. She'll try to get his sentence as light as possible. Did you think he was going to go for that? And even though he contemplates it at the end of the episode after talking to Raina, I can't in a million years really see him flipping on Tommy. He's got that whole honor among thieves thing. Now with Tommy's new threat, Turtle is very much like, no, you can't consider the deal, because he knows his life is on the line. And Proctor is like, no, really, like, does she even have a right to do that? I don't think Mock was on board with that. Terry is very take the deal, because this case doesn't look very good. I love this dude. He shows up, he's very competent. The first thing he asks James is, did you do it? Terry, he sees through everything. Proctor and Tommy, he calls him on like, how you gonna represent this man when you used to represent him? That's a conflict of interest. He calls Proctor on, he was like, you're running around doing favors, you jump every time Jamie says something. What's the deal? He's very, very unimpressed. Ghost says, oh, there's a phone here. And he was like, I mean, do you have proof? He's just very about business, about facts, and run me my money. So as soon as Terry meets Jamie, he was like, run me down the day that Greg got killed. He was like, I did this, and I broke into the apartment, and I saw this, and oh, there's this phone that I didn't see, blah, blah, blah. He goes through all the details, and somehow he misses the fact that he got pulled over by Greg. You have a lot of time in your jail cell to think about what happened that day to like what evidence do they have, what proof you can come up with. And all of this time of you thinking, you never were like, hey, this is how they got the DNA. They got to run through the story a few times before Ghost is like, oh yeah, there was a traffic stop and Angela knew about it. That would have been the first thing. Like, so for breakfast I had XYZ, and then I went to the office and I sat in XYZ chair. Like, I would have gone over every detail, and Ghost is just skipping over very important things. As soon as Proctor hears that there's a reason that Greg would have Jamie's DNA on him, he goes to the judge and he's like, hey, we found evidence of this traffic stop. The prosecution knew Angela specifically, and we should have this whole case thrown out. And the judge is like, now, sir, wait a minute. We can have the evidence in, and I'll mention what the prosecution did, and the jury will be biased against them. Or we can throw the whole thing out, and the jury will never know about DNA. Mock and his team opt to throw the DNA out. Tommy spends most of this episode freaking out about the new shipment of drugs. Like, Chicago's freaking out about this drug shipment and Jamie being investigated. The drugs still gotta move. At the end of the episode, he pills some okie doke because he knows that the warehouse is being watched. When Tommy's not running around fretting about his new drug shipment, he's taking Ghost's requests to heart. He's playing daddy daycare to Raina and Tyreek. Tommy's taking them to school one morning. He lets Raina out the car because Raina is perfect and very naive and just wants to please her father and have him home. And he holds Tyreek in the car to have a little chat, the same way Tasha did last episode. He wants to know what's going on with Tyreek and why he's being disrespectful to his mother. He levels with him. I don't really care what my mother thinks. Everyone's talking about my dad getting the death penalty. My mother hasn't said a word to me about it. And I think my dad did it. Tommy's like, your father would never do that. He would never put this family in jeopardy. And Tyreek is like, my dad doesn't really care about the family like he says he does. Tyreek has a point. I mean, Ghost did up and leave the family. He left them in the house and he downgraded to go live in a one-bedroom apartment somewhere in Queens. Tyreek didn't have access to his father the same way. Tyreek is going from having a two-parent family with his father in the house to now having to text his father to go across town to a hotel to meet up with him. Tyreek, rightfully, because he's lost his damn mind, gets a lot of flack, but understand that he's a 14, 15-year-old boy. He wants guidance. He wants a man in his life, and unfortunately the person that has stepped up, who texts him, who cares about him, who shows concern with him, who spends time with him, is Kanan. Unfortunately, Kanan he's an ex-con who likes criminal shit. Like, he's no Ralph Angel where he's like, I did my dirt and now I'm trying to do better and be a better man. Kanan's like, no, I like doing hood rat shit with my friends. Also keep in mind that Tyreek is a teenage boy, and it is the nature of teenagers to be rebellious. Most teenagers get into dumb teenage shit, but Tyreek is not hanging out with another teenager. He's hanging out with a grown man who's an ex-con who likes to do dirt, and is also using this kid as a pawn to get back at his dad. This new business that Tyreek got going on, where he's gonna give Kanan the alarm codes to his rich white friends' parents' houses so Kanan and his boy can break in and steal everything. Obviously, baby boy, you doing too much. Keep in mind, the kid is in a bad spot. He's emotionally messed up about his father abandoning the family, and he has no therapist and he has no proper outlet. And that doesn't excuse the way he talks to his sister. It doesn't excuse the way he talks to his mother. It doesn't excuse his criminal behavior. But the kid is in a bad situation, looking for guidance and being guided by the wrong person. Death to Angela, immediate death to Angela. But Tyreek should live. Speaking of the kid, I felt bad for little Raina. She's so naive. She wants to believe the best about her father like little girls do. But her daddy really ain't shit. Like, I do believe Ghost loves her, but Ghost is also like, he left his family and he's like a killer and a drug dealer. And also about Tyreek, apples don't fall far from trees. You could point out that he's been raised in an environment of privilege, but his father is a drug dealer and has a dual personality. He's constantly lying, constantly deceiving people. Tyreek picked that up. You are who you are, and your son is also that. Surprise. Tasha is also about that life. The kid picked up some of this stuff very honestly. That's not all Kanan's influence. While Ghost is sitting in jail, remember the old white guy from last episode? And the white guy saddles up to him. He got a phone earlier in the episode and he got some information about Tommy and Ghost. So he's figured out that Jamie is actually Ghost. It amazes me how he was able to figure this out in a matter of, what, an episode? Versus the FBI, these trained investigators who can't figure this out for anything in the world, that Tommy and Ghost are not the same person. He's basically like, run me some money, have your boy Tommy deliver some $20,000 to my house weekly, and I'll keep my mouth shut about you being Ghost. Otherwise, I can go talk to the attorney that's prosecuting you. Ghost weighs his options and decides to do it. I've noticed in the comments that a lot of people think that the old white guy is actually Tommy's dad. I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me. I don't think he's Tommy's dad. I don't know why. We'll see. Keep watching. So Bailey, he's telling anybody who will listen that there's this tape of Tommy saying that he and Ghost, which establishes that Tommy and Ghost are not the same person, killed Lobos when he was in FBI custody. He tells Knox about it, and obviously Knox is Greg's actual killer. But I'm just like, you're telling everybody about this tape, and I know that you want, like, throw something at the wall and see what sticks, but I don't know about your strategy, sir. I don't think this bodes well for you in the long run. To credit, he was a really good friend to Greg, and he wants to clear Greg's name. I don't know how far this is gonna go, especially after he told Knox, because they need Tommy and Ghost to be the same person for their narrative. I wouldn't be surprised if Knox like got his hands on the tape and destroyed it or killed Bailey or something, because I just don't see him living that long, because he's talking too much, you know? My favorite scene from this episode is with my new favorite character, Terry Silver. I just love a dude with no cut cards. He shows up at the jail to talk to Jamie, and Jamie's very, thank you for finding the tape and you know, getting the DNA thrown out. And he was like, you had money, you had access, you obviously have intelligence, and you wasted it. Don't act like you were just an upstanding guy and somehow you found yourself in this situation. No, the choices that you made have led you to this point. Jamie's trying to justify himself to Terry, and Terry's like, it's about character. And basically he's telling James that he lacks it, which is true. Jamie lies, Jamie kills, Jamie sells drugs. In any other show, he would easily be positioned as the villain. It's the same conversation that Avon had with Stringer in one of my favorite episodes of The Wire. Stringer is upset that Clay Davis played him in a real estate deal, and he wants to kill Clay Davis. Avon points out to him that he's not hard enough for the streets, but he's also not polished enough to operate in the real world. That's kind of what Terry says to Ghost. Like, you're trying to be this upstanding businessman, wear the right clothes, and you speak the right way, but it's a facade and it's not a clean one. Everyone can still see your dirt. You wear it on you, which is true, was it not? So that's my recap. Let me know what you thought of this episode. Let me know what you thought of the recap. Let me know what you thought of Terry, because I love this dude. I hope he's a regular character. Tune in next week. Please subscribe. I'm trying to get my subscribers up, not just for my personal ego, but I want to get into YouTube Studios. So if you want the videos to keep coming on a regular basis and you want them to be amazing quality, then it would really help if you subscribe to the videos so I could get 10K, get Demetria to YouTube Studios. So help me out. And in the meantime, subscribe and bye. See you next week.